What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to today's trade recap and market analysis episode. Today is Thursday, August the 7th, and we were able to take two trades here today. One was a break-even trade that unfortunately turned into a very small loser because of slippage, and our second trade happened to be a good old W. So today we're going to be diving over and going over exactly what made us take these two trades, the confluences and reasoning behind it, as well as the overall pre-market game plan coming into the day, as well as analyzing the market session from 8:30 up till 10:30 completely to see if we missed any setups or see if there's anything else that we could have noticed. So let's dive straight into this. Today we did not really have any news we had to worry about other than at 9 a.m. where we did have these final wholesale inventories and IVPMI. But if we take a look at financial juice, it's not there right now, but it was a yellow folder, low impact, so it won't really affect the market. And because of that, we did not worry about any news for today. And yeah, with that said, let's talk about the pre-market game plan coming into today. So if you hop on the 30-minute, what you happen to see is that we opened up here, yeah. Oh my God, we fell a lot more than I thought we did. Okay, yeah. So what we did was we put ourselves between the range, similar like yesterday, right? Between these all-time highs and this low structure, right? As we're coming up, we were creating a multitude of zones that is indicating buyer strength, but greed was very high at this level, and it's hard to tell if price will come back up to that level. But we are making higher highs and higher lows as well. What I wanted to see was how price reacts to this 1 hour above. And I want to see how price reacts to these levels between these zones and all, right? And if we can identify direction within the zone or within this range, then we would be more than happy to enter taking a trade into Bookmap liquidity following what we found on this. Everything we have marked on the chart is honestly just to provide a little bit more insight into a bias that we can have. Realistically, none of this will have any predictive advantage in a sense. It's more of a sense the strategy that we implement to actually work with the mechanics of the market, allowing it to work. This is just something that helps us build our bias to ensure that our entries and our system actually works out as function and as how we want. But yeah, that's how it's essentially all it was here on ES. On NQ, it was essentially the same thing, but we didn't really have that many zones towards the upside. Our only zone we had towards the upside was all the way at the all-time highs. And as you see, we're within that range once again as well. And coming in market open, we actually did see this buying pressure come in. But then we sold off aggressively. And we took out this liquidity, which could have provided us a little bit of an edge in order to take these shorts. But you see as more of these confluences align and you see as more of these confluences align that things can match up, and when they do match up, it provides lots more significance than when they don't match up. That's why it's so important to analyze both NQ and ES since they are correlated assets to an extent. And because of that, we should be able to leverage either one's movement to trade the other asset. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the pre-market game plan. We're just looking to identify direction as to which side of this range the market will go next. And depending on how we react to either one of these levels, then we can make an additional play. But as you can see, there's a multitude of plays that we made today, two inexact, and it happened to work out for us here today. So let's start right away with the market analysis from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Seeing if there's anything we have missed. One, see if there's anything we could have improved within our trades too, and see if we can notice anything else. 3. So let's dive straight into this and let's open up Bookmap and see if we can notice anything that may help us understand the market more and continue to provide a statistical edge in the market. Let's get straight into that market open location right here at 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central. And what we saw was that there's nothing really here. We can't predict where price will go simply by looking at this. Sure, you might be able to make an estimate that price may want to go down because this big area of passive sellers is there. But realistically, right when market opens, we don't have that predictive power as compared to later time in the day because we have lots of volume, the most algorithms executing right at market open, as that's when these orders can actually get filled. And because of that, the market moves like such. As you can see, we come all the way down, but then we burst through above. And then we're holding that level, and then we start coming back down again. Nothing really providing predictable power here in this case. What we saw was that upon market open, price started to dump down. Looks like sellers got absorbed here at the slower passive buying liquidity. Then aggressive buying started to come in, breaking one area of passive sellers, but then we entered into another area of passive selling where buying was unable to push higher, and now these sellers were able to come in. Right at this time, it looks like now sellers have gone absorbed once again, and now buying came in. Like such, you can see that buying right there. But then after that, we tested that area once again, buying was unable to push higher. Buying was unable to push higher, and look at that. I hope you saw that. I did not notice this when I was trading real time in the market, but maybe this could have provided for a good play. We started seeing an aggressive spike of selling with 361 seller limit orders right here at 6409. So say we do have a high frequency trading or like an algorithmic model when you do enter when you see something like this, then potentially you may have been able to enter at 6409 at 842, right around here. 640, that would have positioned for a very good entry for the entire day. Kind of insane. And then play stop around there, so maybe 1-2-ish or 1-2, yeah. So around 1-2. Take profit down below, maybe at 6405-ish. As you can see, we come down all the way down here, but what's that lower area right here that price tested before? So let's say we're targeting simply these lower lows, or those lows right there. That would have provided for 2.5 risk to reward ratio, and as you'll see, it does happen to play out very significantly. So noticing those aggressive passive sellers that came in could have provided for a great entry if you're able to execute on that right when you saw it. Realistically, it's hard to actually identify that in the moment. I honestly did not even see it today, and I honestly would not have traded with it as well because who knows if it's spoofing or not. Hard to tell. Don't want to base an entire trade off. We don't want to base an entire trade off of such, especially when we haven't identified direction yet. Looking at where we're sitting at right now, we did start seeing selling pressure occur, but we didn't break out of this lower liquidity. What stops us from heading down, taking Bookmap liquidity, and then start pushing up where there is targets on the upper side as well? And you can see those targets is 6420 area. Nothing is stopping for these buyers from coming in and actually heading up there. That's why I'm not necessarily looking for one side or the other yet. On NQ, we did provide us with some more information, simply because coming into that time, we did go ahead and sweep this upper liquidity level, but then we started seeing aggressive buying coming in, and with that actually makes me believe that, actually no, I was looking too far ahead. What we saw was that we swept liquidity there, and then we started seeing aggressive selling, and then what we saw was that we pushed down to this lower liquidity level, and then at that level, we started seeing aggressive buying, which supports the fact that we're trading within this range and we still haven't identified direction for us to get a statistical advantage for us to profit off of. And that's why no trade within any of this. But we do happen to find a trade very soon. Because as you see, we're coming down and we broke these lows. And I noticed that, right? And on ES, we actually broke through this liquidity as well. Now, what I was looking for was a simple break and retest of the liquidity level. And if we saw anything that would have considered continuation, we would have entered. And as you'll shortly see, we did see exactly that. See, as you can see, these sellers came in very aggressively, pushing through all that passive buying liquidity. But we were unable to get to this 6395 level. And how it looks like right now, price may want to come back up into this region where we have passive selling and then push back down, taking out that 6395 liquidity level. And that's what I was looking for. And soon enough, we'll see exactly that. Buyers step in, push up into that area of passive selling, and we start seeing selling occur. But on top of that, it wasn't just that, guys. That's not just the only reason that we entered into trade. If you take a look at the footprint chart, what we see is that at that liquidity region, what we saw was heavy selling delta, both here and here. Potentially, you could also consider this area, but I would consider that as absorption. This I would consider as aggressive selling, moving price downwards. That's what I saw here. Now we pushed down below, we came back up into that selling delta region. Buyers try coming in, and you can see this. You can see aggressive buying delta here above this region. And volume is pretty decent as well, not low volume in any way, shape, or form. We see volume come in near the top. We see buyers try to come in near the top. Buyers are not pushing above this liquidity that we have marked that is there on Bookmap, and we start seeing sellers react out of it. We have multiple conflicts. Retracement into the selling delta region, direction identified as we broke out of this liquidity level with things preventing us from going higher and using it as a reversal point, showing that it might actually be a retracement point for a continued sell-off. And we see absorption there and a reaction at a high seller delta location. As you see, right around there is around where I entered, right when I saw that selling aggression occur. Exactly, yeah. 6402.5, 6402.5. We saw that selling occur and we entered right away. We kept our stop loss. 14 takes away around 6406 because it's not 6405, but it's a bit above it. Looking around 6406 or potentially 6407.5-ish, which would have still provided for a 144 rooster reward, but we kept it at 6406. We almost got stopped out, I'm not gonna lie. We got very close to being stopped out. We were one tick away at a point. And then we saw selling start to drop and come in. When the selling started to drop and come in, what we did was we moved our stop break even. And I don't, like, realistically, I didn't think I would do this, but I actually did do this. And it makes sense in hindsight and it manages our downside risk, so I'm not mad at it at all. What we saw was that price, let me rewind a little bit, right? Okay, take a look. At this 6400 level, 6400 level, we started seeing passive buyers enter into the market. When I saw that, that stood as a bit of invalidation, right? We don't know if this selling will be strong enough to push all the way down to our target now, but if we are able to break this level, we should be able to head down there. With that said, I moved my stop break even because if we react to this level in itself and come back to our entry region, then it essentially invalidates our trade because sellers are unable to break through this level and buyers are able to push price back up around where our entry was, where previously we saw aggressive selling hold. And it made sense in terms of the market. And what we saw was that price actually did break this and started heading lower, as you'll soon happen to see. Like, oh, we did not, did we? We did. Yeah, we did. We did break that 6400 level and we did push down below a little bit, but right at that point, as you quickly see, we saw a large spike and surge of buyers. For me, there was literally no way to predict that these buyers would come in. It's a more of a case where this is one of the unknowns in trading that you cannot control, but these do happen time to times, and we got stopped out break even, or what should have been break even. Our stop was break even. It was actually one tick below break even to cover the commissions and fees, but what price did, it surged up so high that we got filled for -4 ticks when our break even point was +1 tick. So we got slippage of 5 ticks on ES, which is pretty significant. So that's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. We didn't lose much on the trade at all. I'm counting it break even on all my journals and stuff because realistically it should have been break even. Simply just market mechanics and the unknowns, the uncontrollables that made it a small loss. But realistically, it would be counted as a break even trade because that's where our stop loss was placed. You could also consider it in profit trade since it was one tick in profit, but no, it's going to count as a break even trade since commissions are accounted for. Now let's keep moving forward. What we see is that price continues to head up. And now honestly, this was not what I predicted to happen at all. My mindset was back in this range, right? We rejected off of this lower liquidity now, and I'm now looking to see it where price wants to go again. Maybe price wants to head higher, who knows? And you can see that reaction here. We saw a sell-off occur, take this liquidity. Then we saw that aggressive surge of buying. Now, we come to test this 6412.5 passive selling liquidity region, and this is pretty significant. It's stacked and significant. Very strong area of passive selling. And with that, we enter up into that region at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. ish. And what we see happen is we see a large amount of buyers try to come in at the top. You see that right here. 490 buyers or around 800 buyers. No, around 900 buyers tried to enter in near the top, but they were unable to do so, and selling came in very aggressively. Realistically, no way to predict that as well. It was very quick and it was during the news interval as well, so nothing to be traded there. But as we saw this insanely aggressive selling occur, that's what solidified to us that price likely wants to head lower. But look, around this region, what we saw was that selling was coming in, and now we're trading between barriers. I did think I wanted to enter a trade right around here. Was it right around here? 605, 605. I think it was right around here. I did not enter, but this could have been a mistrade. What we saw was absorption there, aggressive selling start to come in. Sellers kind of got dissolved down at this level, and now buyers are coming back in, testing the 6405 area around here. And we come up to that region, which also happens to be aggressive selling region, and we start to fall. But honestly, I wouldn't be too preferred of it since we still did not show shorts, because if you do enter short, we can't really predict if price will break the 6395 level or not. And these passive buyers do seem to be pretty strong here as well, with 100 there, 110 there. So nothing to enter there yet, really. Yeah, I mean, it's stacked, it's passive. If we did enter, it would have worked out nonetheless. And because it worked out, many traders would consider that they take it, but I'm not considering that because it's not good to skew results based on what you see on hindsight, unless it's really significant, unless you really know you would have entered off such. I mean, if we saw aggressive buyers come in here that were unable to push higher, then potentially, but we don't really see buyer absorption. We just see buyers just retrace a little bit back into this aggressive selling delta region, and then the selling starts to pop in. And then we break through that 6395 level. Honestly, may have been a good trade, but it's too iffy for me. The reason for why is because we took out this level down here below and then we're retracing. If there was nothing there and we simply made this and retraced into it and saw a little bit of absorption, that would be a pretty good trade setup that I would have been happy to take. But from what it looks like on the book map, it does look like sellers, large sellers came in here near this passive buying region, and then we came up testing this 6405 level. Mm, it, it's hard to tell if this area would have held or broke simply because we did not see any buyer absorption. We did see a reaction though, so maybe we could have entered. This one's a tricky one though, and typically when these types of things are tricky, it's not worth entering. And on top of that, there was passive liquidity there as well, and we're still within that range, or around that relative area of the range. And then we start falling and falling very strong. And nothing to be taken here. Like throughout this entire region, this big sell move from around 9 a.m. to 9:20ish, the selling was just too aggressive. We didn't see any retracements that would have been solid enough for us to enter in, putting it at a good value entry. We simply saw price retrace a little bit, then more aggressive selling as such. Price retrace a little bit, then more aggressive selling. Yep, price retrace a little bit, and then more aggressive selling. Nothing I really see it throughout any of this. No retracement plays. We're testing the 6385 level. And at this point, it does look like sellers are getting absorbed, but we do break through it pretty strongly. And now this is the point these sellers start to come in aggressively. We see these sellers break through these passive buyers very swiftly. And these passive buyers are aggressive too. We see like 200 passive orders here. It's nothing to be really messed with, right? It's pretty significant. Lots of orders throughout this entire region. And now here, this is the point where we're pretty choppy, right? After these large sellers came in, we started getting very choppy. And you can see this by these wicks on the bottom. Like, I don't like using these chart patterns a lot, but what it does look like is a bull flag. What that shows is that buyers have been trying to come in, but they're not coming in with strength like how sellers did. Additionally, we did retrace into this fair value gap region. If you go on the footprint chart, I'll show you guys what else I saw. Just go ahead and create a zone there so you know more. Hold on, right there. Ooh, look at the precision of that. But yeah, what we saw was that price not only retraced into the fair value gap, there was liquidity up here at 6385. Right now, we don't know where price will head to next. We're testing the 6375 level down below. As you can see, we got very close to taking it out. We got to 6375.25. But if you notice, we didn't really generate any volume down there at these lows. If we had generated selling delta, large selling delta with volume down here at these lows, I would not want to take the shorts simply because that's indicating absorption. But here it's not really indicating absorption, it's more of telling that buyers and sellers are having a bigger battle here at this moment. Now buyers are driving price upwards and they are having these big wicks, which doesn't look the best for the sell side. But with this fair value gap here on both ES and NQ, and with it being a break and retest of VWAP on NQ as well, and it being a break and retest of this liquidity, not this liquidity, but this 4-hour zone that we had marked out as well, it's essentially a break and retest of a lot of different factors. A fair value gap retracement providing us into good value region, and within that region there is passive sellers at that area, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking to see if price heads up closer into the 6385 level, if we see absorption at that level, and how we react from that. And as we move forward, you'll go ahead and see exactly what happened. What we saw is that price started to dive into that region. You'll go ahead and see that very soon. Right around here, yes. You take a look, we see aggressive buying come in right around the 6385 region. What we saw there, it looks like this barrier got broken. 100%. There's no question about it. But, and typically when the barrier is broken, we don't enter. But what I saw occur was that on the footprint chart, we saw aggressive buying come in, right? Very aggressive buying. I mean, it doesn't look very aggressive simply because this candle has so much volume, but we do see buyer absorption. If we add all of this up together, that's around 1,000 contracts transacted at these highs. And if you add all of these up as well on the buying side, likely 1,000 buyers or 1,000 buying contracts entered here at the top. And with that said, we started to see a spike of very aggressive selling. We came up to those highs, saw absorption into this selling delta region, and selling spiked pretty strongly and pretty quickly as well. When selling occurs strongly and quickly, that's a sign of aggression. When it's quick, that means it's strong. And when we see absorption and then it's quick, that validates that absorption, providing it more probability of it playing out. So we entered around 6381.5, right around the point where I paused this, and that's where we entered. We entered there hoping that price would follow through with this absorption and not break above this region above and finally take out this 6375 liquidity down below, which we kind of struggled to do. And as you see, we do exactly that, and we were able to move our stop loss break even as well. But before we could do that, price went ahead and hit our TP. So we saw sellers come through with our bias and with our hypothesis from this trade, with our multiple confluences that we mentioned: absorption, selling delta region, double fair value gap, break and retest of VWAP, break and retest of liquidity level, break and retest of a 1 hour, and there's a target below, and there's trapped buyers here at the top, and we saw quick and aggressive selling confirming the trade. With all that, we entered, price went down, we saw some passive participants here, which would have allowed us to move our stop loss down into profit by maybe 8 ticks, and price went immediately to our take profit. Very aggressive selling, very precise location, very good confirmation, and a lot of confluences. And honestly, that was a pretty good trade. I would have liked to see more buyer absorption, but the quick selling had accounted for that. And yeah, it went straight to our take profit. We didn't move our stop loss to break even, so I'm not counting it as a stop loss to break even high risk to reward trade. I'm going to count it as it is. a 1.25 risk to reward play. And yeah, I'm gonna keep it at that. It's pretty good trade, pretty quick trade. We had maybe one or two ticks in drawdown, no drawdown at all. Went straight to our take profit. And what I saw after that I liked was that price wicked up right after a TP, which showed position. But yeah. With that said, let's quickly go through the rest of the day to see if there's anything we may have missed. But let's see. Right here, buying retraces. Let me see selling. No touch of barrier. Come down there. Now we're testing this lower 6370-ish area. And right now we don't really have too many targets on the downside anymore. But price keeps selling off. Very aggressive selling. We are quite deviated from view up as well. But selling still comes through. Nothing I'm seeing throughout any of this. Until 10 a.m. I don't notice anything. We do make a retracement, but not into any levels. We do have a lot of selling icebergs, but they are counteracted by buying icebergs at the location. We do have orders there at around 6377.5. Here we have this region 6367. That was hilarious. Let's see. That we don't happen to touch into. We come close to that region, but we're never able to break through. We come up to that region. It's hard to tell if there's buyer absorption or not around that level, so no entry could have been found there. Low significance barrier as well. And then we break through, continue to break through. I'm watching very closely to see if there's any play that we could have taken. And if there is a play, I hope I would have taken it, but there's nothing I took after that. So yeah, selling come through. Buying does retrace into that 116 area, but at 11, right here, you don't really see buying absorption. We do have this high volume region here, but it's pretty even between buyers and sellers. Not really any buying absorption per chance there. So we start seeing this occur. We're between multiple liquidity levels, pretty tight, and now we continue moving down. Nothing to take throughout any of that. Selling comes in. Now buying pops in after likely seller absorption here and pushes up. But again, no entry could have been found to any of this. And it would be around this candle. Around 6362. Right around here. And looking at it, we do see selling imbalance here. But I don't know. Nothing would have told us to enter. We don't enter simply based off absorption off of something. We need to play and confirm it more, because here we do have this level above around 6375, or maybe that long could have looked good targeting 6375 or 0.5 below it to avoid edge, right? So realistically, I would not have entered it simply because we have been falling down for a long time. For us to take a reversal play, we want to see continuous imbalances or anything else to confirm a reversal play. Here we saw, like, if you take a look at the candlestick chart, price started making bigger wicks. We pushed down pretty aggressively, and then we took out this liquidity, and then we quickly surged up again. Nothing I would have taken off that simply because it was so quick, and taking a reversal when we've pushed down so much, it's hard to tell if it will actually play out. And if I did take a reversal, I would want to target VWAP because that would mean reversion. But here we have the 6375 level, and if individuals did enter long there, it would have worked out. But around 1020, we did start to see buyer absorption there. Ooh. We came up to this region, that 6375 region. We had large selling icebergs, large buying participants. The overall trend was towards the downside. We didn't really enter into any heavy selling delta region. Let's see over here around 1020. Hop on 15-minute, maybe there's anything there. Nah, nothing there. These wicks are pretty criminal. not seeing anything else really that would have told us. It potentially could have been considered a break-in retest of this liquidity level, but if you just take a look at the overall wicks on NQ, not a good price action day for NQ in terms of wicks. But if you look here on ES, if we did consider a break-in retest of this bookmap liquidity, then it could have been considered a pretty decent play. I honestly would have been kind of tempted to enter. I don't know if I would have entered. I'm saying that because it's not 100% for me. We deviated very far away from. Oh yeah, there's no way I would have entered, and I'll tell you why. It does look like a good place to enter, but I would not have entered. The reason is, you see this 2-hour zone that we came into, this area right here, marked out as 2-hour and high volume node. Well, this was the area that had the most volume within the last few days. In those areas that have generated the majority of volume, those typically tend to be pivot points and tested and proven pivot points as well. If I were to bet and place a bet on any area where price would reverse, it would be at this 2-hour. Price, as you can see, did not reverse, but because of this being such a high volume node, I'm not trying to take a long reversal. No, I'm not trying to take continuation of the shorts, especially when we've seen such aggressive buying start to kick in. And because of that, we would not have taken the trade. Realistically, it doesn't look bad at all. Say you did take it, you could probably find an entry somewhere nearby. Actually, 6370 around here maybe. Stop loss around these highs where we saw absorption here. 7.5, so 7.5.5. Take profit would likely be down at 6360. So 60. Yeah, I mean, would have been a good trade if we've taken it, and would have been a pretty quick trade as well, as you'll soon happen to see. But unfortunately, we just did not happen to take it, and I don't think I would have taken it as well. Again, these trades would have worked out, but honestly, it's nothing that I would have taken simply because of the context of the market. If this 2-hour was not a high volume node, the probability I would have taken this is 10 times higher. And if I did take it, it would have been a 1.75 risk to reward almost, with a pretty quick execution time and a pretty quick workout time as well. As you can see, as such. Stop loss to break even, especially as we come down and try testing it once. But if we did keep our stop loss to break even this move up would have not touched it, and we would have hit our TP. So this may have been a trade that we missed, but because this was a high volume node right here, we would not have taken it, and because of such, we did not miss anything. And that marks the end of the market session, and also the end of today's trade recap and market analysis episode. This episode was a bit longer than usual, almost 40 minutes, but we covered a lot today, and that is always a good thing. If you have any questions regarding anything I've discussed here today, feel free to leave a comment down below, or join the completely free Discord server. The link is in the description down below. Once again, it's completely free, and I truly believe you can get a thing or two out of it and meet some great individuals. On top of that, if you want to know how to use Orderflow, including our Bookmap livestream and footprint charts for completely free, or start integrating them for completely free, check out the links in the descriptions below as well for both the Bookmap livestream and the footprint charts. Addis, the footprint chart and Orderflow provider, is honestly one of the best softwares that I have used personally. Very user friendly, very easy to set up, and has a pretty good amount of free functionality, which you can leverage when you're starting out and integrating it into your strategy. But as always, do your own research. I recommend you guys to check it out, but yeah, do your own research and let me know how it goes. With that said, that's all I have here for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the last day of the week's pre-market analysis session, and later tomorrow for the market analysis session. So I guess I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.